Christine, some of the predictions of what will happen if the millage does not get approved are being called scare tactics. What steps are predicted if Ann Arbor Public Schools do not get the millage, and are they meant to scare the voter?
Well, unfortunately, I think they're meant to help folks understand really what's at stake and what things would have to look like. Now, some of the things we'd been talking about were to address a $15 million deficit for next year. That was not anticipating an $8.7 million deficit this year, and really probably more of a $17 or $18 million deficit next year. Those are significant cuts. That means things like increased class sizes will happen. To address the $15 million deficit, that was going to be about 219 positions. Many of that would be in teachers, just looking at the ratio of staff that we have. Even if we just got rid of transportation, which is not a requirement, we would still have to cut 87 positions just to deal with a $15 million deficit that next year. We know these cuts are going to be much more significant than that. Other examples or ideas, and obviously the district has to make these decisions, would be to lose all arts, any kind of special programs throughout the elementary school. You know, there's sizable program cuts that would have to be made to address this. So it is scary, but it's really not a tactic. Unfortunately, it's fairly real. And until we do have some other source of revenue, I mean, we have to remember that the state this year is dealing with a $1 billion deficit. Next year, a $1.8 billion deficit. And I know those numbers are in flux, but it doesn't look good. And we need to take some local control of our own destiny. This millage is a way to do that. In fact, it's the only way to do that that's viable for us as a community right now in the short term.
Well, you mean only way because legally, by law?
Correct,
So, okay.
right.
Okay, yes, certainly.
We do have the option to raise our sinking fund rate, and we could do that for Ann Arbor. Again, sinking fund cannot be used directly for operating expenses, but there are still some items that we could move from operating expenses to the sinking fund.
Was the sinking fund just passed, renewed, or
Just
passed
was
again
renewed,
last
yes.
year?
Last year.
Yes.
So is that an option? Could we really?
We could raise the rate.
We could raise the rate without a vote? Or would we?
No, it would require a vote. I think one thing that's important to remember is that, and I served on the school board from 2001 until 2005, is that when we talk about these massive cuts, they're not cuts in real dollars, they're actually cuts in projected dollars if we do nothing to control our projected expenditures. So we've made significant cuts. As a board member, I made those cuts. But you can see from this chart, even making those cuts, our expense line keeps going up.
Did you want to say something to that?
Sure. This isn't the kind of deficit that you can cut your way out of. We have had a structural deficit, which means expenses are always bigger than the revenue we're getting in. I don't know, I haven't done the analysis, but I don't know that what we'd free up going this path that Kathy had just mentioned would really address the operating funds that we need. The millage would provide $11.2 million per year for the next 5 years for the Ann Arbor Public School District alone and $30 million for the county. I don't know what the sinking fund path would substantiate, but I doubt that it would impact operations the way we need to. The other thing is that this is happening now. You know, next month, Todd Roberts, our superintendent, will receive funding that's reflected in the current budget. So whatever that is, right now we think it's $525 less, and he's got to deal with that on a very real-time basis, regardless of what politics are in play.